Hello, I am going to play with my hands and tickling my arms tonight per someone's request. That seemed like a nice, fun, easy thing to do. And enjoyable for me. I'll first just kind of play with this blanket. Belongs to my son. It was a gift. Some Christmas somebody gave it to him. It has a little bit of texture and a little bit of nap to it, so it feels good under my hands. I don't know whether the sound will be picked up by the mic or not, but I'll hope so. For just a moment, I'll play with it. Okay. And then tickling hands was something that I loved to do in church with my mother or my brother. Of course, it was always a deal that we would have to make if it was my brother. My mother would just do it for free. But there had to be a deal that my brother and I exchanged. And I also remember riding on the bus with friends, and we would play a game where you tickle each other's arms and you were supposed to guess and open your eyes and say now when you reached the crease in the elbow, the crease in the arm. And for some reason, the way the nerve endings are in this area, you feel when you're about here, almost everybody would open their eyes and say now, because it feels like you've reached it sooner than you have. And then they would open their eyes and be so surprised. They thought that you were here and you weren't. So that was kind of fun. I think this is just something that most people love. Having somebody play with their hands and arms. I love a nice hand massage. Just helps me relax and just about puts me to sleep every time. Just thinking about some of the other games that my brother and I would play growing up in the church, because we would get bored with the speakers and the sermons sometimes. And there were a couple of games that we liked to play. And I don't know what the one is called. It was kind of a connect the dots game, but you would just get a piece of paper and put little dots on the paper. My parents didn't seem to mind, and you would make a grid out of the dots of several lines and rows of these dots. Maybe you've played this. I don't know if this is something everybody grew up with, but would draw lines between the dots. Each person had a turn to draw a line between any dots. It had to be on the grid, so at right angles. And then when you got to a place where it was your turn and you closed a box, you would get to put your initial in that box. And then if you closed a box, you got to make one more. So if you ended up closing a few boxes at once, you would get to keep taking turns. It was always so frustrating to whichever person had to sit and wait while they closed off a whole bunch of boxes, because sometimes you wouldn't notice that you had just set them up to get a whole bunch of points. And then, of course, the person with the most boxes wins. It was fun. And then the other game that we loved to play was we would get a dollar bill out of my mom's wallet, and we would look at the dollar bill and find some little hidden picture in it, or word, or letter. And my brother was he was 3 years older than me, and he was always so much better at finding things in the dollar bill that I couldn't find. I would try so hard. And then we would lean over and whisper to the other person in their ear what they were to look for, and then hand them the dollar bill. And it was really fun hunting through that dollar bill, looking at both sides, trying to find the feathers or the wings or the arrows. So many things tucked in a dollar bill. It was very fun. I don't know if you can hear that sound, but I love it when I can hear the hands rubbing or the skin rubbing, so I hope you can hear it a little bit. Sometimes it's really fun to get all made up and do a role play video, or I love to do the relaxation and affirmation videos. Of course, that's probably obvious, but it's also sometimes nice just to do a really simple video where I don't have to get all dressed up or made up. And just to enjoy playing with something for a little bit. Hands are something that have always triggered me. I think some of it, maybe everyone's triggered by hands, I don't know. But I grew up when I was young, I think from about the age 7 to age 13. I took ballet, and you would have to, hold your hands in a certain position for ballet. And I loved to look in the mirror and look at my hand and arms and see if they looked right. And I think it made me hyper aware of hands and my hands and femininity with hands. I made it clear to toe shoes. I think I did toe for 1 year. And I realized if I was going to continue, I was going to have to really start to devote my life to it. And I decided I just wasn't in love with it quite that much to devote hours a day to it. So I stopped. My mother was kind of sad about that. But I think she always thought I was better at things that I did than I probably was. She thought I was this phenomenal singer, and when I would hear myself next to other people, I would think, I don't think I'm that great. Not bad. I didn't have a terrible voice, but I don't think it was quite as magnificent as my mother thought it was. But that's our job as parents, right? just think our children are the most amazing creations and talented beings. And to tell them when they have food in their teeth or something on their nose. I still remember the age where my son got really annoyed by that with me. And it was about junior high. And he just didn't want to hear it. Didn't want to know it. And I don't blame him. And I can be a bit of a noticer of those things, so I'm sure it wasn't very much fun for him. He was pretty patient with me most of the time, though, I have to say. Okay. I hope that this has been relaxing for you. And maybe another time I'll play with it again, because I do enjoy hands. I enjoy hand videos. And I'll put on a different color nail polish. Maybe I'll play with some